Hello guys, welcome to Code Link. In this tutorial, we are going to use functions for our code. One advantages of using function is to make our code reusable. So let's start. This is a fresh created app. So we're gonna remove this code here. So we'll have here the main function, and in the run app function we have here the first name of the class that we are going to call. So here we're going to make this class by typing st, then we're selecting stateless because we're not displaying any changes on the screen. Now we're gonna directly type do not click anything or click anywhere. What we're going to do is directly type the name of this class, so my app. Now we're gonna make here return a material app. So our material app will be located in our main.dart file. So throughout our program or our code, we only have one material app. So in material app, we have a property called home. And in home, we are going to place here the class that we are going to call. So let's say homepage. So every class has parentheses. Now we are going to create this class in another Dart file. But first, we're going to save this by pressing Ctrl S in our keyboard to remove this white circle here. So it's already saved. Now, in our live folder, we are going to create another folder. And that will be for our pages. By the way, you can rename this to any name that you want. And then right click the page, we're going to create another file, which is the home_page.dart. And in here, we're going to place a stateful widget. So we're going to type st and then we're going to select stateful widget. We're going to type here the class that we are going to call, which is home page. So make sure the class is the same in here. Now home page, we still have a problem here. So we're going to click this area here. Then we're going to click this action button. Click that and we're going to import material.dart. So in this way you don't have to manually type this code. Now we're going to replace container with a scaffold. Scaffold is like your screen here. And in our scaffold we're going to place here an up bar property, and we're going to use an up bar widget. So our up bar widget has a title, and we're going to use a text widget to display our title, which is Flutter Demo. If no changes are going to be made, then we can safely write here const to remove the blue line. Now save it. And we still have a problem in our main.dart. That's because we're calling this class, which is located in this Dart file. However, we need to reference this first. How are we going to do that? We're going to click homepage and then click here and then import either of the two. I'm going to select the second one, which is shorter. Then we have here the import. Every time that we are going to call a class from another Dart file, we're going to have an import of that Dart file. Let's save it. Let's try to run it. So we have here our up bar. We're going to remove the debug by going to the main, here in the main material app. I'm going to type here debug show check mode banner, and then the value will be false. Save it, press here. Then press R on your keyboard to hot restart. Now it's gone. Now let's go to the home page. So in our scaffold, we have a property called body. Everything that we're gonna use here will be displayed in our body. So our body here, we're gonna place here 3 buttons. But how are we going to make our buttons reusable? And that is by making functions. Now let's try to organize our function by making a folder for that. In our live, we're gonna click here, select new folder, and we're gonna type here reusable widget. That's the name of our folder. And we're gonna right click again and make another Dart file, which is reusable underscore widget dot Dart. If you wanna rename your Dart file with another name, you can do so. But in my case, I'm gonna use the snake casing for the 2 words reusable and widget. Here we're gonna type here our function, which is my button, and we're gonna return, for example, an elevated button here. So we have our property on press. If you don't want to do anything, you can just place here parentheses and a curly brackets, semicolon here at the end. The child will try to place here text. I'll try to place here menu 1, or we can try to have button 1. Since there's no changes, we can type here cons. Now, if we are going to return an elevated button, our return type should also be elevated button. So we have here elevated button. Now we're gonna call this function. Let me show you that by pressing Alt on your keyboard and pressing here. See, if I press Alt, we're gonna split our screen. Okay, so this would be our home page, and this would be our function. Now we're gonna call this function here by typing my button. So you can see it's suggested here. We're gonna select this, and we're gonna pass parameters. Let's say the first parameter would be context. Every button you should have context, comma. The next parameter would be the label, which is button 1. But before that, because we're not passing anything, we're gonna save this and try to run it. So we have here our button. But what if you have more buttons and you don't want to rewrite the same code all over again? That is through function. We can pass parameters, but we don't have to write everything. Let me show you. Button, we can place here parameters such as context. Next will be the label for our button, and we'll try to place here the navigation. If you want to navigate to another page, let's try to make another page here. Let's say it's about page.dart. And our page.dart, we'll try to have a stateless widget about page. Just gonna place here scaffold, and then inside we have a body here, and we'll try to place a text about page. That's it for our about page. Now for home page, we're gonna pass 3 parameters. to call our function because we're passing three parameters, actual parameters. So we're gonna have here formal parameters. The type for the context would be build context, and then we're gonna have our parameter name, comma, and the string type for our label, and we're gonna type here void callback, and we're gonna call it on tap. By the way, these parameter names here, you can rename them according to what you want. And in here, we're gonna place here on tap because we're gonna use these parameters. Child text, we're gonna place this with this parameter. We're gonna remove cons because it is not constant, which means it can change depending on the parameter that is being passed. So we're gonna save this, okay, we have here. Let's try to add another button, but the only way to add multiple widgets is to have a column or a row. So we're gonna wrap this with a row, click here, and then we go here, and then we're gonna select wrap with column. As you can see, we have now our property children, which means inside these square brackets we can add multiple widgets. So let's try to add another button. Let's try to call our function. As you can see, it automatically gives us the parameters. So context and next would be button 2. Let's try to place here 1, and in here there's nothing we do, so just place parentheses and curly brackets. Now let's save it. Let's try to run it. Now we have here second button, so I don't have to code everything here. I'm just going to pass parameters and it will call this function. Now we're gonna have a space here between these two buttons, so we can place here a widget called size box, and we're gonna place here height because it's a column, so it has height, but if it's a row then it has width. So height would be 10. Let's make it constant. So as you can see, we have a red line here. That is because every widget must end with a comma. Save it, and then here we're gonna press R on our keyboard. As you can see, it has a space. So this is a size box which has a height of 10. So this is one of the ways we can do to have or make our code reusable by using functions.